The mansion stood on a hill overlooking the town. A brooding monstrosity, its windows were dark eyes. The wind howled through the gaps in the boarded-up windows. Nature was slowly reclaiming it, vines snaking up the walls like grasping claws. The iron gates creaked open, a mournful sound in the stillness. Dr. Emma Taylor, a woman who walked with science but looked for answers beyond, stepped onto the overgrown path. The air grew heavy, thick with the weight of unseen things. This was a place where darkness lingered. Dr. Taylor, a paranormal investigator of some renown, had been drawn to the mansion's grim history. She'd spent her life debunking myths, using logic and reason to explain the unexplainable. But some places held a darkness that defied rational thought. The Smith Mansion, as it was known, had seen its share of tragedy, whispers of murder-suicide, of a family driven to madness. Emma, armed with her EMF reader and a notebook filled with questions, was determined to find the truth. She was not a believer, not yet, but there was a knot of unease in her stomach. The air inside was stale, heavy with dust and the passage of time. Emma, her footsteps echoing in the silence, felt a prickle of awareness on the back of her neck. She started with the main hall, noting the peeling wallpaper, the cobwebs draped like macabre decorations. Her EMF reader flickered to life, the needle jumping erratically. A cold spot settled in the center of the room, a tangible chill that seeped into her bones. A floorboard creaked above her, a slow, deliberate sound. Emma stopped, listening, her heart pounding against her ribs. Was she alone? Days turned into nights. Emma meticulously documented every cold spot, every unexplained sound. She pored over historical records, piecing together the history of the Smith family. They had been a prominent family, wealthy and influential, until tragedy struck. The patriarch, a stern-looking man with haunted eyes, had been accused of driving his wife to madness. Their son, a troubled young man, had disappeared without a trace. The whispers started subtly at first, faint murmurs at the edge of her hearing. Then, one night, she heard it clearly, a child's laughter, echoing down the empty hallway. Section 5. The Hidden Room. Behind a dusty tapestry in the library she found it, a hidden door, concealed from view. It creaked open, revealing a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. The air grew thick, suffocating. The scent of decay, faint but unmistakable, wafted up from the depths. Emma hesitated, her hand hovering over the EMF reader. Fear, cold and sharp, threatened to overwhelm her, but she pushed it down, her scientific curiosity overriding her mounting terror. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside, her flashlight cutting a shaky beam through the darkness. Section 6. A cold embrace. The air in the hidden room was frigid, the silence absolute. It was as if the room itself had been frozen in time, untouched by the warmth of the outside world. The beam of her flashlight revealed a small, dusty room. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling, and the floor was covered in a thick layer of dust, undisturbed for years. A child's rocking horse stood in the corner, its paint chipped and faded. It seemed out of place, a relic of a happier time now lost to the shadows. On the wall, scrawled in what looked like blood, was a message. "They made me do it." The words sent a chill down her spine, the implication of the message weighing heavily on her mind. A wave of dizziness washed over her, the room tilting beneath her feet. She reached out to steady herself, but the walls seemed to close in, suffocating her with their cold embrace. The temperature plummeted, the air growing thick and oppressive. Each breath she took felt like ice, her lungs struggling against the freezing air. Then she felt it, a cold hand, clammy and lifeless, closing around her wrist. The touch was unmistakable, sending a jolt of fear through her body. Emma gasped, her flashlight falling to the floor, plunging the room into darkness. The darkness was absolute, swallowing her in its icy grip, leaving her alone with the unseen presence. Section 7. The Truth Revealed. Panic seized her, gripping her heart with icy fingers. She thrashed against the unseen grip, her heart pounding in her chest like a drum in a frantic rhythm. The darkness seemed to close in around her, suffocating and relentless. A child's voice, filled with an unnatural sorrow, whispered in her ear, "Help me." The voice was faint, yet it echoed in her mind, sending chills down her spine. Images flashed in her mind, fragmented and terrifying. Faces twisted in agony, shadows moving with a life of their own, and scenes of despair that seemed to have no end. The young boy, his eyes wide with fear, trapped in the darkness. His small frame shivered, and his eyes pleaded for help that never came. The father, driven to madness by grief and guilt, taking his own life. His haunted expression lingered, a ghostly reminder of the pain that consumed him. The mother, her mind shattered, left to wander the halls alone, her once bright eyes now dull, reflecting the endless torment she endured. It was a cycle of tragedy, repeating endlessly within the mansion's walls. Emma understood then the depth of the sorrow that permeated every corner of this cursed place. She wasn't just dealing with cold spots and EMF readings. The equipment could only capture a fraction of the true horror that lay hidden. This was about pain, about a darkness that ran deeper than anyone could have imagined. It was a sorrow that had festered for generations, a wound that refused to heal, and Emma knew she had to find a way to break the cycle. Section 8. Lingering Shadows. Emma managed to break free, scrambling back up the stairs and into the light. Her heart pounded in her chest, each step echoing her desperation to escape the clutches of the darkness that seemed to reach out for her. She didn't stop running until she was outside, the mansion looming behind her like a malevolent entity. The cold night air hit her face, but it was a welcome contrast to the suffocating atmosphere inside. She never returned, never sought answers to the questions that lingered. The fear had rooted itself deep within her, a constant reminder of the night she dared to confront the unknown. Some truths, she realized, were best left buried. The secrets of the mansion, the whispers of the past were not meant to be uncovered by the living. But the experience changed her. It was as if a veil had been lifted, revealing a world she had only glimpsed in her nightmares. She became more cautious, more aware of the thin line between the living and the dead. The memory of the cold hand, the child's sorrowful voice, remained etched in her mind. It haunted her dreams, a constant reminder of the night she faced the unknown. She continued to investigate the paranormal, but her approach had shifted. No longer driven by mere curiosity, she now sought to understand and respect the entities she encountered. There was a newfound respect for the darkness, a recognition of the power it held. She understood that some things were beyond human comprehension, and that the shadows held their own secrets. And in the shadows, she sometimes thought she saw a flicker of movement, heard a faint whisper on the wind. It was as if the spirits were always watching, always waiting, the spirits of the Smith family, forever bound to their prison of stone and secrets. Their presence was a constant reminder of the mansion's dark history, a history that Emma would never forget.